My name is Daphne Broadhurst. I'm a clinical nurse specialist with Infusion Excellence Consulting. In the previous videos, you learned what the Easypump is, how to safely and cleanly prepare your work area, how to set up your supplies, and flush your IV. Now you're ready to start and stop your Easypump. Let's look at how you will hook up or start your Easypump when it is time for the medicine. It is important to give the medicine close to the time you were told by your healthcare provider. Your medicine will be more effective at treating your infection if you take the medicine at the planned times. Look at the pump tubing. The pharmacy will have filled the tubing with medicine. You should check though to make sure that there's no air in the tubing. Open the clamp on the pump tubing to let the medicine flow. Twist the cap on the end of the tubing slightly to loosen the cap. This will push any air out of the tubing. Once the tubing is full of fluid and you see a bubble of fluid at the end tip of the tubing, close the clamp on the tubing. You've just flushed your IV or PICC to make sure it's working well. You now need to clean the cap on the end of your IV. Open another swab wrapper and take the swab out. Scrub the top of your IV cap and the sides for 15 to 30 seconds. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Let it dry for 15 seconds. And keep holding the IV cap. Remember, this is a no-touch zone now. Watch it to make sure it stays clean. If it touches anything, you have to clean it again. Now pick up the end of the pump tubing. Unscrew the cap and let the cap drop. Now this is important. This open end of the tubing is a no-touch zone. This key part cannot touch anything but another key part. Screw the end of the tubing onto your IV cap. Push and twist gently clockwise until it is snug. Do not over-tighten it. Tape the flow restrictor, that is the fat part at the end of the pump tubing, to your skin. Your skin temperature helps the pump run at the right speed. Open the clamp on the end of the tubing so the medicine can flow. To open it, you push this white tab backwards. The medicine is now running. Do not squeeze the pump. The medicine will flow by itself. You can secure the tubing in your IV sleeve if you have one, or tape it. If you use tape, make sure that you shouldn't put the tape over the bandage or it'll be very hard to take off and could damage the bandage. Discard your supplies in the trash unless you were told otherwise by your healthcare provider. Wash your hands. Now, where should the pump be when it is hooked up? Place the pump at about the same height of the IV or PICC. You can carry it, put it in your pocket, or put it in a carrying pouch. Do not put it on the floor or hang it up high, as this change in height will change the speed of the medicine flow. You can now go about your daily routine. Make sure though that the tubing doesn't get kinked or the flow will slow or stop. The pump can stand up or lie on its side. You want to keep it out of heat or cold to help it flow at the right temperature. If you're sleeping, you can place the Easypump above the covers. You also need to keep it dry. Have your shower or bath or swim after the pump is finished. Cover your IV or PICC bandage like your healthcare provider showed you so it doesn't get wet. Now, before you connect your pump tubing to your IV, what do you have to do to keep the IV clean?
Scrub the cap on your IV for 15 seconds and then let it dry. This is now a no-touch zone. Nothing can touch it but the tip of the flush or the clean end of the pump tubing.
Now name some things that you can do to help the pump run at the right speed. First, you need to take the pump out of the fridge for 6 to 12 hours before the next time of your medicine. You need to keep the pump out of heat or cold. In the winter, you would carry it inside your clothing if you had to go outside. You would also keep it out of the sun. You need to keep the pump at about the same height as your IV site, and check to make sure that the tubing isn't kinked, that you're not sitting or lying on it. Note the time that you started your Easypump. Your healthcare provider will tell you how long your pump will run. It depends on how much fluid is in your Easypump and which Easypump you have. You can also check the medicine label on your pump to find out approximately how long it will take. As your medicine flows, the balloon will slowly deflate. This Easypump should finish in about 30 minutes. While the medicine is flowing, check to make sure that the balloon is slowly getting smaller. This means the fluid is flowing into your IV. This is what a full pump looks like at the start. The balloon will be deflated or flat when the pump is empty. You know you've received all of your medicine when the pump balloon is flat. You can feel the hard inner core of the pump. Now you need to take the tubing off of your IV. Before you touch your IV or pump, you always have to wash your hands. Let's stop the pump. First, close the clamp on the Easypump tubing. Push the white tab down so it pinches the tubing closed. Gently pull off the tape that was holding your tubing against your skin. Now hold your IV cap. It's important to hold this part to make sure it stays on your IV or PICC. Grab the end of the pump tubing in your other hand and twist the pump tubing off. You need to make sure that you twist the tubing off, not the IV cap. You can set the end of the tubing and the cap down and set the pump aside. Now you need to rinse the medicine out of your IV. Tap the flush on something hard so that the air bubbles rise to the top. Loosen the cap on your flush. Push any air bubbles out. Stop pushing when you see fluid at the top and there's no more air bubbles in the flush. If you were told to use 2 flushes, prepare your second flush. We're only using 1 flush. Take the cap off. This tip of the flush is now a no-touch zone. If you see there is still air in the flush, flick the syringe to push the air up. Then push the tail end of the flush until all air is out of the flush. Open the alcohol swab. Scrub the top and sides of the IV cap for 15 seconds, or however long you were taught. And then let it dry for 15 seconds. Now this is a no-touch zone. Nothing can touch the clean end but the tip of your flush. If you did touch it to something, you would need to get another alcohol swab and re-clean it. Push and twist the flush onto the IV cap. Now push on the tail end of the flush to rinse out your IV. Squirt, squirt, squirt. When the flush is empty, twist the flush off the IV. If you were told to use 2 flushes, scrub the hub again with another swab and flush your IV with another flush. Now, if there's a clamp on your IV, you need to pinch it closed now. Not all types of IVs or PICCs have clamps. You need to protect your IV. You can wrap it in a stocking if that's what you were shown, or you could use a piece of tape if you wanted to. But remember never to put tape over the bandage. And you're done. That's it. You need to throw out the supplies, including the pump, as your healthcare provider showed you, and you need to wash your hands. When it's time for your next medicine pump, you'll do this all over again. Don't forget to take your next Easypump out of the fridge so it can warm up in time for your next dose. Using your Easypump will get easier each time that you do it. Now let's review. When should you take your pump out of the fridge? Make sure you take the Easypump out of the fridge at least 6 to 12 hours before it is time to hook up. Now, what helps the medicine to flow at the right speed? Remember to keep the pump around the same height as your IV. Keep the pump at room temperature. If the pump is too high or the room is too warm or the pump is in bright sunlight, the medicine may flow too fast. If the pump is too low or you're out in the cold, it may run too slow. When the pump is hooked up, you should check to make sure that the balloon is shrinking. This means that the medicine is flowing into your IV. You've learned how to use your pump safely. The Easypump is safe and easy to use. Sometimes, though, it is possible to run into a bit of a problem. In the last of this video series, you'll learn how to manage problems that you may run into. I'd like to thank Formative Pharma for their educational grant to support the development of this video. Thank you.